And welcome back, everyone. We're going to be finishing this game almost. We're going to get through a big portion of plot and stuff like that, but you know, we're so close, guys. We're so close. We can taste it, and this is actually one of my.
Tastes bitter.
Strangely enough, this is one of my favorite parts of the game.
Oh yeah, the ending great. The only problem I have is that the execution kind of sucks a little bit.
Yeah,
it could have been presented in a better fashion. Also, the other thing is too with the indoctrination theory is that you always have the same pistol.
Yeah.
Whether or not you've had it throughout the entire game or not, that you always have that same pistol. So, like, it's just weird. Like it's, and I think it's more or less the fact that the way when they designed the ending, because they didn't have time to program it the way they wanted it to, they were like, screw it, let's just throw all this together, and so people have an ending. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
But here we go. We got Anderson here, so it's convenient that everything kind of converges into one room.
Yeah. Even though he said he came out after him, he shows up here first. Even though there's no noticeable hallways that lead him here, unless it's the same way you came.
Right. And it started shifting and stuff like that.
Exactly. Which is something that they talk about in the indoctrination theory, saying that that's also in Shepard's mind, because he wants him here.
But yeah, it's like, as we can see, the elusive man just...
When you did the headquarters out, you never saw the vid where he talks about him getting surgery and getting Reaper bits installed inside of him.
Okay. Yeah, well, we missed it. Whoops.
Yeah. You saw all the other ones, though, but that was the only one you missed. And that one's very far in the end of that mission.
Yeah, and this here is the second to last choice of Paragon or Renegade that we can do. Mm-hmm. If you choose wrong, you can't do the final one, which actually decides how this whole thing goes.
No, you can choose it.
No, you have to choose all Renegade or all Paragon to choose one of those options. I read.
No, you can go back and forth.
Oh, okay.
At least they... I think in the original ending, you kind of had to stay with a certain one.
Uh-huh.
But I think they changed it that you can just keep going.
Okay. The one thing I'm a little confused about is, what about all the people on the Citadel? What happened to them?
What?
All the people on the Citadel.
Oh, you saw all those bodies?
Yeah.
What do you think happened to them?
I know, but that fast? That was really fast for...
You don't know what happened.
I know. True.
Yeah. Also, another thing they talked about
is the indoctrination theory with the vignetting and stuff.
And it's because they specifically talk about that they have oily shadows. And what does it look like on the edges of your screen right now?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think it's more so of...
speculation.
Yeah. It's all speculation. I personally don't believe it, but I think it would be a really cool thing if it actually held up under scrutiny. It doesn't, though. Under scrutiny, the indoctrination theory falls flat. And there's only a few points that they can make that make it seem cool. Other than that, it doesn't hold up, particularly under the extended cut ending. It gets completely disproven.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, theories like that, unless it's canon, I really don't buy into much.
And BioWare's never gonna say yes or no, at least not for a while. They probably have, they probably signed NDAs NDR, non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NDAs, why did I think NDR?
Yeah.
Do not resuscitate
Yeah,
what I was thinking.
that's what you were thinking
of. But yeah, we shot Anderson, just glossing over that. But...
Yeah, just glossing over that. He doesn't die, though, because the elusive man is kind of keeping him standing.
Keeping his muscles taut.
You
can't kill Teeth David that easy.
And also notice what side Anderson got shot at.
His right.
Exactly.
Left side.
Yeah, his left side.
You're right.
Because Shepard starts gripping that same side as if he got shot.
Right.
Once again, it's in his mind.
Yeah. Who knows? It is all fever dream.
It could all be. It could very much well be.
Oh, and this is the that previous decision there is what decides this ending here, this part here anyway.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. You can have the elusive man shoot himself too, or you can have you can shoot him yourself, or you know, all that. And also, in regards to the indoctrination theory, they talk about how this part is Shepard's own psyche fighting with itself.
Yeah.
That he uses the manifestations of his altruistic self being Anderson and his you know, just
indoctrinated self
being the elusive man. Which is why throughout the entire game he looks normal until this final part where you actually see the Reaper parts underneath him, which I think is more so that it was later on in the game where he actually gets those bits installed inside of him.
Yeah. I can't do that. But yeah, you can see how the elusive man is like trying to realize that he's not really in control, and you know. And it's all. Whoa!
You grabbed that ass.
He pulled the gun out of his butt.
Pretty much.
And this, actually, I'm sorry. This is the final decision.
Because of you, humanity is already undone.
Caution.
That's not true. They have the Citadel. They've got us fighting each other instead of fighting them.
Yes, divide and conquer.
You've done exactly what the Reapers wanted. You're still doing it because they control you. They're too strong.
And now he realizes it.
Stronger.
Don't let them. Yeah, and then another thing they talk about is how the things come back whenever the elusive man is having like strain with this.
Yeah.
Thus being Shepard having a problem with, you know, trying to break free of indoctrination.
Yeah, well, it's just a theory. But
it is a theory.
Yeah, see, because of all the Paragon we did, elusive man shoots himself.
Yep. And then another thing they talk about, I don't remember if this actually happens, but his body disappears in the cutscenes when they.
Well, his body also changed position.
Yeah, it did.
But
that could be glossed over as because it's
supposed to be if you were to shoot the elusive man instead, which is
they
what
only did one.
Which is if you never do the Paragon or Renegade, you just do regular dialogue options, or you don't have enough Paragon or Renegade. That is what will happen. You will be so strong mentally or whatever that you will be able to shoot the elusive man and he falls backwards and blah.
Yeah, and in the original ending, that when because Admiral Hackett at this point will talk to you and be like, hey Shepard, did you know? Yeah, there it is. It's shedding its shell,
which is kind of really disappointing because they had this huge extra shell, but then they have that little itty bitty orb in the middle. It's like they had more stuff there than they needed to. With more
to protect it, really.
I know, but it's just empty space. It's not like there's other stuff there to pad it or whatever.
So. I think it's just to make it look cool. Yeah, and when Admiral Hackett calls on you, everyone's like, well, how did Admiral Hackett know you're supposed to be there?
Yeah.
And they remedied that by putting that in cutscene by, you're like, oh, we have reports that Shepard made it, you know? Which, still, how do they know?
Maybe there were scouters or something like that were watching.
That's what I'm thinking. You have every available human down there.
So, and they're all watching you and running in with you, so it's like...
Exactly.
Someone would have seen you.
Yeah.
I don't know about Anderson, but hey, whatever. No. Why was Anderson even on the ship? Wouldn't he, kind of hang back just a little bit just to, command people like an admiral is supposed to?
I don't think so. Which also kind of feeds into a little bit of the indoctrination theory. Like, the only reason he'd be there is because Shepard wants him there.
Well,
I don't know. I think it's all...
See, Shepard really just has, a really bad case of the flu, and this is, 1912, and all it is just a fever dream. Everything is just a fever dream. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So...
See, I think it would have worked... I think it would have been a cooler theory if they said Shepard never woke up from being hit by the beacon in the first one.
Okay.
And everything afterwards is all a dream.
When he's in a coma or something like that. That would be pretty cool.
I think that would be a much cooler theory, and you could pick the points out in each one of those games that kind of prove it's all a dream. I think that would be so much cooler.
Yeah. Oh, and Anderson's dead.
Yeah.
So Shepard just wants to say his name just to be sure that he's not...
Yeah, and see Shepard's gripping his left side.
Yeah.
And he looks down, he's bleeding, and people are like, that's the same side Anderson got shot.
Yeah. Honestly, with theories like that...
Yeah, and then Hackett calls on you there. In the original game, you never hear him talk until...
Until then?
Yeah. So
they don't even know if you're alive, and so it's like, hey, just a second. what's going on here?
Yeah.
See, I'm an IT technician, and that's my job basically. So it's got to be something on your end. Is something that just makes me chuckle because it's like, are you sure? Is your internet working? Did you try rebooting the Crucible? Did you unplug it and plug it back in?
How great would that be if there was a video like that? And then now we get to see God.
Mass Effect IT technician.
Yeah, right. And also his shadow's weird.
Yeah, his arm is like so much longer than.
And then here's another point because once again, there's the vignetting around. So, also suggesting, hey, this is still in Shepard's head. Yeah. I'm just thinking they kept using the same... Yeah.
Back up.
Yes.
Why is this now just opening again?
Well, it was continually opening.
No, but it was closed at the beginning of that cutscene. Of this cutscene, it was almost completely closed.
Well, maybe it had to move certain plates. Whatever. It's not important.
That's continuity error there.
Okay, I think we've discussed there are more than a few continuity errors and plot holes in this game. And then this part, everyone goes, why does it have to be the kid? You know, like, it's all in Shepard's head and this and that and all this, like... I mean, the developers even said they wanted to use the kid as a link to Earth.
Yeah, which...
I think they failed in that regard.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair, he had the dreams about him.
Yeah, being Shepard the pedophile.
The one thing, the only thing I could probably explain maybe with this is the whole, as, like, the Geth said, oh, we're going to use things that are familiar to you and to your memory, like the Quarians still being masked and suited up and whatnot.
Yeah, but they never talk about that in this part. It's just kind of like...
I know, but I'm thinking, okay, if the Geth did that, and this, in the Geth are just sentient computers, and this is like basically a super version of that.
Yeah.
Also,
here's another thing that in some of the indoctrination theories, if you look on the side, there's some of the polls will say M1 1M1, like that one.
Yeah.
Apparently, it relates to an equation that talks about light, and the three lights they talk about are red, green, and blue, which are the same colors as the endings.
Well, okay.
So somehow they're like, oh, it has to be all in his head. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of it that's all about. I think a lot of people were just reaching for things that aren't really there.
They were. See,
like one of the things I also give him credit for is on the original ending. I sort of give him credit for this. Shepard, in every other conversation, Shepard, there's always like an investigate option, or there's a lot of different options to choose from. In the originals, there was only ever like 2 options, and it always moved the dialogue forward.
Yeah.
And people are like, this has to be all in his head because Shepard's not acting like himself. But I'm like, he also got blown up, shot at, and he's dying. You're not going to be the same person you are if you're losing all that much blood.
Yeah. And
like, all those options on the left didn't exist. Only the options on the right existed.
Okay. Well, here, the thing I like is that, or what I did was, I just kind of went through all these options, because we're at the end of the game, we kind of should get this guy to explain what is going on. And the one thing I did notice while playing is I noticed, if you listen carefully to this kid's voice, it's like a Hanar or a Turian or an Elcor, where it has the double layering.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting.
Here's another thing. That another thing is too is that they talk about how this voice, they have the child voice going over it, but then also underneath it they have the male and female Shepards also speaking. That's apparently what the double layer is.
Okay. Wow.
Which I don't know if that's necessarily true, unless I can get a hold of the actual sound files and listen to them. Like, maybe, but other than that, I don't. I think it's cool if they did it, but I don't think it means anything.
Probably not. I think most likely the original files would already have been distorted and stuff like that. Like how they're presented right now, they wouldn't have just double layered them. But
yeah, because I mean, you can kind of hear Jennifer Hale's voice if you listen to it carefully enough. But that could also just be similarity. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be that's her. You know.
I'm assuming that's the first Reaper.
I don't know about that. They just talk about Reapers.
Well, they said that it's like that they became the first true Reaper, and they just happened to have a Reaper on screen. So I'm going to assume that was the case.
Yeah, and a lot of they added a lot of information at
Yeah.
the end here just to answer all these questions because people were like they didn't talk about anything, like they still don't know what the Reapers were, what they were, like all this other stuff, and the actual repercussions of each decision.
Okay.
That's what they really added with this ending. So
Okay.
that's kind of what they did and what they added, and that's
Reapers right now.
like yeah.
Yeah, just train of thought just kind of petered out. So basically, we're just trying to find out what exactly is going on, and hey, the Reapers do this and that, and it's because that's what they were built to do, and whatever. So they collect people, make new Reapers like the collectors were doing in the second game, and apparently they do this to restore the balance because chaos destroys everything.
Because reasons, that's why.
Yeah, I just cut him off. I don't want to hear the rest of this statement.
And you can find out all this stuff on the wiki and everything, which presents it in a more concise manner anyway.
Right. So, so this is just an EMP blast.
Well, more than just an EMP.
I know, but that's a very quick down and dirty version.
Yeah, a little bit.
You would not know them, and there was not enough time to explain.
Also, if you did the DLC, the Leviathan DLC, you could you open additional dialogue options for the ending because you actually get to meet some ancient life forms, and that they have some connection to the Reapers, and they give you some information that now you can question them here, which I'm not going to say what it is because some of you might want to go back and play the DLC, and get some of those dialogue options, and it's really cool actually, the stuff that you can talk about with them.
Programmed to do what we're told.
Oh, Shepard, bringing down the truths on the child. I suppose, yes. And you know what I find really interesting and kind of sadly amusing? Is that we're kind of just trying to figure out what's going on instead of actually doing something and trying to say, hey, what do we have to do? And all these ships are exploding in the background. All these
There's
people are
nothing you
dying.
can do about that. That's the thing.
I know, but instead of like, hey, dude, okay, cut to the chase. How do we stop the Reapers? Instead of, oh, what are you? What do we do? What are the Reapers? Blah blah blah. So it's like, yeah. But now because we have an organic in the Crucible and in the Citadel at the same time.
Yeah. Also, if you notice something as well, sorry to cut you off, but when he's presenting the two endings for Destroy and Control, the colors are the opposite of traditional the Paragon and Renegade options. Because Anderson is representing the Destroy option, which seems like the option you should choose.
Yeah.
But it's red, like Renegade. And when they show the Control options, it's the Elusive Man, who's historically been evil, but it's blue, like the Paragon options. Which also kind of leads into the indoctrination theory, which then they're like, because the kid, what they are saying is that the kid is actually the Reapers.
Yeah.
That they are trying to get Shepard to choose the option that benefits them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if we destroy so far basically with what he's explaining is if they do destroy every AI, all sentient or synthetic life form will be destroyed. Geth, Reapers, Edie, any of the I don't know if VIs count, but I
think so. They just they say all, so I assume VIs.
So those things will all be destroyed. So basically throw us back to, what, 1800s?
Pretty much.
1900s. Early 1900s.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it's like, we have the option to destroy them all. We have the option to control them. Basically our body kind of dissolves and kind of becomes one with the Reapers and things like that. And then there's the third
We'll
one.
wait till we get to that one, because that one's the most interesting to me.
Right, and then there's the fourth one, which is the hidden ending.
Of course.
Which you have two ways of getting. The first is if you kind of just were an asshole to the kid, and he basically everyone you lose. That is game over. Everyone dies. Reapers win.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the fourth option.
Which, for whatever reason, they added that in. I think it's just cool that you can do that. So...
Right, and you can do that either by being an asshole, like in the dialogue options, or you can shoot him, because you still have your pistol.
Exactly. And
I did that on accident, actually, and
also,
I'm like, no, quick load, back,
also,
back.
the one thing that they do add to the indoctrination theory, because of that last ending, if you shoot him, he kind of has the voice of Harbinger when he says, you know, like you have chosen. It kind of sounds like Harbinger, so people are like, well, it's the Reapers! But he even says in the dialogue that he's the collective consciousness of the Reapers.
Yeah.
So, of course.
Yeah, it's like, basically, this is the...
yeah, and this is the synthesis ending that I had mentioned before.
Which is a little weird.
It's weird, because it's organics and synthetics become one.
Yeah, it's like, it merges.
Which is why I said before, how can the Geth eat?
Yeah.
Because how, if they become one and the same?
Yeah.
Because they don't have mouths, they don't have buttholes, like how do they poop? How do they eat?
Don't go down that road. The big thing is, like, it mentions, like, one will be perfected by integrating with synthetic technology, but it doesn't explain how.
Of course, and that's what has me really excited about the next game, because whatever you choose in these endings dramatically affects the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And you start in a different position, like assuming that the next Mass Effect game continues after 3.
Right, and most likely from what I read, it won't, but...
no, I've heard it will.
I don't know. Either way, with this game, you know, if you don't get enough war assets, you can't get the synthesis ending.
No, depending on how many war assets you get. There are a total of, I think it's like 15 or so different ending movies that you can get, and depending on how many war assets if you have very low war assets, like Earth will be destroyed, just completely annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you get really high war assets, the endings will not appear to be more in your favor, and at varying degrees depending on everything.
Right. So
the only ones that don't have that is synthesis.
Right, and we get to choose in the next episode what we're gonna do, and we'll see you guys in at that time. See ya.
Bye.